We are here at Las Vegas, Nevada, where the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series will tackle the Lite 200 here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for NOVAR Racing here in week number 5. We have a couple of storylines that we want to point out prior to this race. First of which is that Walter Youthen fended off a late charge at Chicagoland the last time the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series hit the track. He held off charges by Scott Johnson and Shane Harden to take the victory in a pretty good fashion, as that weekend was overall filled with decent racing and great finishes. In that same race, Luke Warren suffered a rib injury due to a crash on lap 14 as the car hit an opening on the safer barrier on the front straightaway, and he took a series of hard hits. As a result, Luke Warren will be out for 6 weeks due to injury. We didn't really know until about Thursday this week about who will be able to take over that number 14 car, until we got the name that Travis Johnson will take over the number 14 for Luke Warren. Johnson currently competes in the NOVAR GameStop Truck Series, driving truck number 19. And also another storyline was just recently came out, this one coming just a while ago, as Matt Camlin and Thomas Lawyers have both announced retirements after the conclusion of the season. According to both of their perspective, they actually made the decision at the beginning of the season, however did not announce it until now, as they are going to be planning a retirement tour throughout the season. Hamlin and Lawyers both have combined 3 championships, Matt Camlin winning the championships in 1994 and 1996, while Thomas Lawyers won the championship in 2006. It is believed that both of these drivers, when they will retire, they will mentor their 2 sons with Devin Hamlin and Corey Lawyers, as they're going to be brought up to the Cup Series. Corey Lawyers is already running in the South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge for Hal Wilson Racing in their car number 49, as this will be interesting, as how we'll see how the development of Corey and Devin Hamlin will happen. The Lite 200 is here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is a 1.5 mile oval, 134 laps, very similar to Chicagoland. Our last race was in 2013. Shane Harden took the victory in that race, and the first race was in 1999. Winning the Aflac Pole here is Shane Harden, car number 59. Blake Battagliano, the 2012 winner. So both every year's defending winners at this facility are in the front row. Silver Green Racing gets row number 2, and they also got 2 more in the top 10, that being Damon Scott and Ethan Littinger in the car number 51. Good run for car number 51 there. Casey Littinger, car number 5, making his first start of the year. He starts 20th. As Walter Youthen in car number 8 gets a provisional, he starts 26th, as he took it away from many notable drivers, while some had already used it, such as CJ Gordon and Chadler Blake, 2 drivers who failed to qualify. And there we see our Nick Dunnigan is the other driver to use the provisional. He starts in 42nd. So Shane Harden in the 59, he leads the field down to the green flag. Blake Battagliano is outside. Battagliano in the 50 did not really get a good start at all, while Harden just got away very easily. Casey Lester in the 12 is already on the challenge for Battagliano, and Lester's already going to clear Battagliano for that second spot, along with Jan Nori and Ethan Littinger in the 51. Littinger, a very good qualifying effort for car number 51. There you see Casey Lester in the 12 already is going to immediately make a challenge for the 59 Harden, as Lester is going to go to the race lead. Ethan Littinger in the 51 is going to follow suit. And we already have a crash on the front straight. Brandon Green's around, and several cars crashing just 1 lap into this race. We're going to see what happens here. It looks like Cody White gets into Blake Battagliano, spins back up the track, gets in a lot of cars. Chris Clark, Scott Johnson, your second place finisher, Chicagoland, was also involved. As there we see Gordon Billard's also tumbling around, Shane Howard, Brian Wilson. And here's from Chris Clark's perspective. Clark was running about the middle of the pack. Here's what happened. Looks like Battagliano gets into the wall. White tries to go to the bottom, but that just happens. Clark was trying to hold the bottom, but Wilson, Johnson, and Cody White all slid back up in front of his path. The 56 of Clark would continue on going. There you see the 58 Scott Johnson would not. Shane Harden would retake the lead due to the fact that Lester and Ethan Littinger ended up pitting. Jamie Scotty in car number 9 is in second, so that's I think a good strategy call, I believe, on the 12 and the 51, and we'll have to see about that. The 59 of Shane Harden is still holding on to the lead, as there we see, I think Kyrie Youthen in the 57 is already going to immediately make a challenge for 5th, for Eddie Johns, while Jamie Scotty in car number 9 is trying to get to the bottom and to the race lead. Car number 9 to Jamie Scotty. Scotty and Harden almost make contact. Jan Nori in the 01 is going to follow suit. in the 0-1. There you see Kyrie Euthan in the 57 already going under Blake Matega, and Euthan might and will close in on the 59 of Shane Harden, as this race would have a lot of lead changes and would have a lot of lap car issues, since this race is sort of like a super speedway race. Corey Von Logan, the 23 who was involved in that first wreck, was one of those drivers. As a result, Jay Arroyo was leading at the time, and as a result, Jonathan Winslow in car number 00 will take the lead. Jamie Scott into the 9 is going to follow suit and will follow his teammate Winslow for the lead, and Scotty's going to go for the race lead under the 00 as they're going to take suit. Here's car number 5, Casey Linger, who's not in a Monster Energy Chevrolet as we saw in the past few years. He's running Target, which actually was his, I believe, his IndyCar sponsor when he was running IndyCar, but now has reunited with Casey Linger in his car number 5. Linger has not really exactly gotten off to a good start, as this is his first race of the season. Ethan Linger, his younger brother, on the other hand, has gotten off to a rough start. Linger has qualified for the past 2 races, but has, I believe, crashed out of both of them, as he finished 36th at Atlantic City and then 40th at Chicagoland, so not really get the good start he wanted. He has Lowe's, which is a different sponsor. Another driver starting a different sponsor is Casey Lister in car number 12. We actually were going to talk about this towards the start of the race, however, the caution came out. But Casey Lister is having Miller Lite on the car, as Miller Lite sponsored that 12 car for a few races last season, and will also do the same for this year, as this race being the first one of them due to the fact that the title sponsor of this race was Miller Lite. There you see Lester and Walter Green almost make contact there. Damon Scott in the 18 is going to try to make, they're going to be 3 wide. Lester and Scott almost make contact there. They almost make contact again. However, they'll get away with it. More lap traffic would come into play. Chris Clark at the 56 would actually get in the way of his own teammate Eddie Johns. Jay Illinois would get away, as Damon Scott and Kyrie Euthan will almost wreck each other to get away. They say, oh, near contact between Eddie Johns and Clark, so I think the feud's starting to build up between those two, as Euthan is going to go for second, Casey Lister in the 12 is going to go for third, as this race would actually have green flag stomps happen beginning on lap 59. Shane Harden would be the first car to drive in, Ike James Jr., Jonathan Winslow, and James Scotty. So Shane Harden leads the Mars Wrigley teammates of Jays, Winslow, and Scotty, with Stephen Volk following. 2 laps later, Jay Nori and Jay Nori, Damon Scott, and Eddie Johnson all followed to pit road. And Casey Lister would actually hold off the stops for quite a while, as he already pitted under that first caution. As Lister is, oh boy, flat tire on the 12. I believe there's a flat tire on the 12, and Max Rapon into the back of the 12. As our next caution will come out on lap 62. Casey Linger nowhere to go. JB Scott ain't nowhere to go. Blake Tagliana nowhere to go. As here's from Max Rapon. Rapon had nowhere to go, as I think he was holding the high line. There you see the 12 into the wall. Might have been a flat right front, as the 5 of Casey Linger, Blake Tagliana nowhere to go, as this was not the end of the ride. Here's Stephen Volk. Volk actually would hit the 77. There you see Volk was trying to slow down, but then didn't have enough time to slow down and just runs into the 77. Here's from Casey Linger's perspective. There you see the 12 going down. When the 77 hit the 12, he just had nowhere to go, no time to react. So tough break for car number 5 of Casey Linger, who was making his first start of the season, and it's not going to go the way it's going. After a bizarre circumstances of green flag stop trapping everybody, the leader in the restart would be Shane Clark III. He was the last car in line, and he's the leader of the race. However, Clark's now going to try to take advantage and start lapping some people. Ethan Linger is going to be the first car to go fall out down, as since Linger, I believe the second to last car, he'll be able to just jump back in line. Clark in the 98 has had an average season. Nothing's really surprised us from the 2011 champion, as looks like Jason Calazzo in the 04 is also their class, so with that surprising result at Dentsville, but hasn't really done anything since then. Meanwhile, this will all be the battle for second. Damon Scott in the 18 is currently holding that spot. Shane Harden, Kyrie Euthan, and J.R. Nori were all fighting for that spot as well, as there we see the 59 of Shane Harden. Damon Scott in the 18, that's all going to be the fight for second. Looks like it's a 4-car battle now, as J.R. Nori in the 01 is still lagging back. Casey Lister in the 12 was ridiculously off the pace as we saw in that restart. He already started falling back. He's going to be holding up a lot of cars. Chris Bell's going to be one of them. As Lester just cuts down in front of Bell, and that's going to set our 3rd caution of the day. Chris Bell, Jared Lancel, all collected in an accident, as Lester would slide back down. McDowell's also collected and gets hit hard by, I believe that was Chris Clark in the 56. So here's what happened. Looks like Lester just pulled down on the 38. Chris Devin into the 06. Al's got collected. McDowell gets into Lancel. Lancel goes over a couple of times, as I believe Lancel would drive it away. McDowell tried to go around, but he doesn't see the 56 there. And then Clark also hits the inside wall, as the 56 would drop out of the race. Shane Clark III would retain the lead with Eddie Johns in second, and Jay Arnori in third. Casey Uto in car number 19 is in fourth, as Eddie Johns is in 55. He's immediately going to take the challenge and go for the race lead. Jay Arnori is thinking about a 3-wide situation, and will probably make a 3-wide situation out of that, as Arnori in the 01 is to go to the bottom. Does the 01 Arnori have enough for the lead? Looks like Arnori is going to push her way into the lead, and Jay Arnori to the lead. Kyrie Yifton is going to open the door for the lead of this one, as there you see Shane Harden in the 59, Ethan Littinger in the 51. Al's also come back from this after Littinger pitted early, was stuck in that second group for the most of the race, but now has a shot to compete with the leaders here, as Shane Harden in the 59 is now going to go for the lead onto the 57 of Kyrie Yifton. Ethan Littinger and Casey Huto will follow suit, as looks like Huto is now going to go under the 51 of Littinger in that number 51 Lowe's Dodge, as there you see the 19 of Huto to the bottom. Chris Bowen being more shenanigans. He'd be our fourth caution lap 101. He gets turned by Shane Clark III. Walter Green gets collected. Chris Devin, Ike Jays Jr. So gets collected. Ike Jays Jr. was actually running up front for some of the race, so I believe this is the third time this season Ike Jays Jr. has been a front runner, but then somehow swept in a wreck. Nobody else would get hit until Corey Von Delga came to the fray and ran into the back of Walter Green. We would have a restart on lap 105. Jay Arnori, car number 01, would lead on the restart. Shane Harden, the 59, second. Damon Scott, the 18, third. Casey Uto in the 19 is running in fourth. As there we see the 01 of Arnori, Shane Harden, the 59, already going to be trying to compete for that lead here, as there you see the 19 of Casey Huto. Huto is already going to go to the bottom under Damon Scott in the 18. The 59 of Harden is going to be he's just going to pass Arnori with relative ease, and the 19 is just going to pass Damon Scott for third. So there you see Matt Hamlin in 28. Hamlin, who announced his retirement earlier this week, is already going to try to make something out of his last year, and probably winning this race might help him in his retirement. As there we see lap car Casey Lester. Casey Lester gets into the way of Harden. He gets in the way of Arnori. They almost crash each other, as now Lester just drives back down to the bottom. So Lester was not really happy about that, so as a result he tries to hold up the bottom, but that's not going to work out, because it looks like the 01 on Arnori opens up the door. Casey Lester almost gets himself turned in front by Mike Hogan in the 17, excuse me. As there you see the entire bottom line, that being, let's say, Scott, Huto, Littinger, Johns, and Walter Yifton. There you see Matt Hamlin going around. Hamlin in the 28 going through the grass. Yifton merges up safely. Hamlin merges up recklessly, gets into Yifton, and caution break at the 52 are all piled in. Here's what happened again. Looks like Hamlin was trying to merge down to the bottom. He gets himself slitted across the track. Hamlin merges up recklessly, gets into Kyrie Yifton, Carson Brank, and Brian Kittleson all get collected in that, as this would knock him off the pace. However, more lap traffic would happen, as while Jay Arnori was trying to hold the high line, Jonathan Winslow was already going to give up the high line anyway. Then Arnori basically trapped herself up there. Chris Bell in the 38 would also be there as well. Bell would, I think, surrender the bottom line, and as a result, this would set up a kind of a very interesting battle in the latter stage of the race. Not a very dramatic, but a very close contested battle between Shane Harden in the 59 and Ethan Littinger in the 51. Littinger in the 51, who is in only his fourth career start. There you see Damon Scott in the 18, Littinger's teammate, as here we see up again. Looks like Clark in the 90. It was a lap car. Ethan Littinger tries to go to the bottom of the racetrack for the lead. Down the back straightaway, Littinger has the line. Harden has the high line. However, Littinger is unable to get the charge there. Littinger trying to do something that nobody has ever done, win his first career Gatorade Series race and first career NOVAR Verizon Cup Series race at the same track, which Littinger did it in 2011. He won his first career Gatorade Series race here in 2011. Littinger would have another shot as he gets held up by Casey Lester. Littinger tries to go to the bottom. However, this time Shane Harden shuts the door on the 59. The 59 Harden shuts the door on the 51. Casey Huto on the 19 is also starting to close in. Casey Lester, however, would be involved in more drama. Jay Arnori just apparently runs into the 18 and gets into the 12. This would cause a caution with about 3 laps remaining, as there we see try to come back up. Damon Scott hit hard by Nick Dunnigan in the 71. So a huge wreck. Looks like the 01 just pushes into the 18, which pushes him into the 12. That sends both the 18 and the 12 around. Damon Scott trying to get back going. He gets hit on, I believe, at the right front tire, and that sends the 18 rolling. That also the 12, Casey Lester, over. As this caution was with 3 laps to go, and for the first time this season, this race will be heading into overtime. So here are the overtime rules and notes for anybody unfamiliar with it. The distance of the periods will be determined by track distance. Since Las Vegas is a 1.5-mile track, we'll be racing for 3 laps. Any cars off the lead lap will not be able to compete in the overtime period. Their finishing result based in regulation will also official, and something note not on there is that for the drivers that are in overtime, if they do crash out and do drop out of the race, their finishing result based on the overtime period will be official, as they will be marked as where they finish in that period. If a caution comes out prior to taking the white flag, they will complete that period and will run another overtime period until a green flag finish. And that also states on the unlimited attempts for overtime. So here is your running order as of the end of regulation of 134 laps. Shane Harden is the leader. Ethan Littinger with a hard challenge towards the end of regulation. He'll have to see what he can do in the overtime period. Casey Hutto in car number 19 is in 3rd. Eddie Johns is in 4th. Jay Arnori in 5th. And Matt Kimlin rounds out the cars that will be competing in overtime. So Shane Harden in the 59 leads the field. Ethan Littinger on his outside. Green flag's out. Horton got a really good restart. I don't think the 51 of Littinger got a good reset at all. Casey Hutto in the 19 already going underneath that 51 car. There you see, I believe Eddie Johnson, the 55, is going to try to make it under the 51, and Ethan Littinger did not get a good restart, and he's falling back. He's about to fall back to 5th spot, just out of turn number 2. It looks like Eddie Johnson, Jan Honore, looks like they're going to be fighting for second. This is going to get Shane Harden to break away from the pack, and Shane Harden already has a decent-sized lead over the rest of the field. Jay Honore and Eddie Johnson now fighting it out for second. Looks like Littinger has got himself back in line, as the 01 of Jay Honore is now fighting for that second spot. As there you see Johns running on the high line. Honore in the 01 trying to push his way in. Ethan Littinger in the 51 is still there as they're about to head to the white flag. Harden still has the lead, and looks like Honore will clear Johns for a second, but she has a challenge from Ethan Littinger in the 51. Littinger to the bottom of the racetrack. We take the white flag this time by, so any threat of another overtime period is not needed. Harden in the 59, he has a threat between the 01 and the 51. Littinger in the 51 will get by the 01 at Honore. And now, coming out of turn number 2, Harden in the 59 has a decent-sized gap. Looks like Littinger has gotten by Honore, but I don't think Littinger will have enough for Harden. Out of 4, Eddie Johns will get under for Littinger, but Shane Harden will win here at Las Vegas. So Shane Harden gets his first victory of the season, and also I believe for the first time in his career, Harden wins a race from the pole. I'll have to check that, but I believe that's a first for Harden. And Harden is also only the second driver to James Wilson Jr. to lead at the end of regulation and actually win the race. And Shane Harden, not only did he do that, he also keeps the trend going that the driver that led the most laps would go on to win the race. Harden led 47 of 137. Ethan Littinger had a very good battle with Harden towards the end of regulation. The regulation kind of cut him off, and overtime never really got a chance to challenge the 59, but a very good run for car number 51 of Ethan Littinger in his 4th career start. Eddie Johnson, car number 55, 3rd spot for car number 55, Eddie John. Jay Honore, who finishes 4th in car number 01. Casey Hutto in car number 19, it's a pretty solid day for car number 19. Matt Kimlin in car number 28, he finishes 6th. He is also our hard charger. Mike Hogan in car number 17, you see the 1 lap down. That's where he finished based in regulation. He finished 1 lap down in regulation, and his finishing result was official, was based on there. Shane Clark III, who did lead a good chunk of the race, while the weird circumstance involving, I believe, Casey Lester kind of set everything up to turmoil. He finishes 8th. Walter Houston, a very quiet day for the Chicagoland winner. He finishes 9th, struggled pretty much most of the day, and comes back to finish in 9th. And Carson Porank, car number 52, rounds out the top 10, and is also the last car to finish 1 lap down. So Shane Harden was going to have a good day. He was going to probably take the points lead, and he makes a statement of that as he wins the race and gets a 27-point lead over C.J. Gordon. C.J. Gordon loses the points lead due to his DNQ, as he is 27 points back. Ike Jace Jr. is 32 points back. He gains a spot up to third despite being involved in a mid-race accident. Walsh Youthen gains one spot despite a quiet day and gets his way into the top 10. Mike Hogan in car number 17 jumps 3 spots and is now 40 points back of Shane Harden. 6th is Nick Dunnigan in car number 71. He is 1 point, gains 1 spot. As 7th is Kyrie Youthen in car number 57. She gains 2 spots. Jana Nori gains 9 spots to 8th. Eddie Johns was our big winner in the top 10 in points. He gains 11 spots to 9th. And Chandler Blake was our big loser this week. He ended up DNQing just like C.J. Gordon. And however, unlike Gordon, which it didn't really cost him that much, for Chandler Blake, he falls 7 spots to 10th. And we take a look at 11 through 20. Damon Scott in car number 18. He gains 5 spots to 11th. James Wilson Jr. drops out of the top 10 due to the fact that I believe due to his early accident, he loses 6 spots to 12th. Jonathan Winslow gains 11 spots to 13th. Jason Kylasso gains 8 spots to 14th. Chris Clark in car number 56 loses a spot to 15th. We have a couple of big winners in the bottom portion of the top 20. Brian Kittleson was one of them. He gains 15 spots to 16th. Shane Clark III gains 25 spots to 17th. Ryan Pearson was a big loser out of that one. He loses 8 spots and falls to 18th. Matt Camlin was our big winner of the top 20. He gains 39 spots. Yes, 39 spots to 19th. And Walter Green in car number 39 rounds out the top 20. And now for our race recap. There were 5 cautions for 18 laps, that last one forcing it into overtime. Our hard charger was Matt Camlin, who gains 31 spots to finish in the 6th spot. Shane Harden continued the trend of the lap leader ended up winning the race. There were 9 leaders for 38 lead changes, and the margin of victory was 0.13 of a second, which was in overtime. For week number 6, the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series, the NOVAR Gatorade Series, and the NOVAR Razor Aero Series will all be heading to Daytona. The NOVAR Kellogg's Northwest Series will be heading to Gregory, and the NOVAR Kellogg Southwest Division will be heading to Sacramento for race number 2 on the calendar. We'd like to congratulate Shane Harden on his victory here at Las Vegas, and we'll see you next week from Daytona Beach, Florida.
South side.